Welcome to Nollywood Radio France. Your host is Cyprian Johnson. This program has been brought to you by Nollywood Croissants Magazine. Additional support is provided by our partner Ubawudi Ondiwe, Goodwill Ambassador, Nollywood actress, singer, songwriter, humanitarian and victim advocate. Please stay tuned. We thank Cyril Ibe for the permission to use this audio file from the Afriscope Radio Archives.
2 years ago in Montreal, Canada, a group of filmmakers, journalists, students, and Africanists, those who study Africa's place in world history, decided to present a different image of Africa on the big screen. That led to the founding of Vues d'Afrique in French, View of Africa, and to the first African Film Festival. The 15th Annual African Film Festival runs from April 19th through May 2nd this year. Françoise Mwera is co-founder of the festival. But what's Vues d'Afrique? I asked her.
Well, Vues d'Afrique is an NGO who is organizing an African and Caribbean film festival in Montreal. We have been doing it for 15 years. And we show a panorama of the latest production from African countries.
And these films are from which countries in Africa mainly?
Well, it's from everywhere. I mean, I think we have 24 different countries represented in the festival. We have movies from North Africa, from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Senegal, name it. You know, a lot of the countries, because we have not only feature films, but we also have a section with the television, because we think it's very important to show what the people look at over there too. So we have a section on television show, and we have the panorama, which is the feature film and short films from different countries of Africa. And then we have also a section of Caribbean films. And then we have a section of film made all over the world on Africa or Caribbean countries. So it's really like a tableau of the whole thing, of what you can know and see and look about Africa.
And who is your audience?
Well, we have, let's say, about 2/3 of our audience is Quebecois, or we even have Americans coming. We have, like people from and then we have 1/3 who are people coming but who lives in Quebec but coming from the different countries of Africa. We are multi-ethnic city in Montreal, and there is a lot of different kind of people. So about 2/3 of the population are French, Canadian, Quebecois, and then we have 1/3 of the people who are coming from the different countries, but who live in Quebec. They are students or they are immigrants. And
what was the motivation or the inspiration back 15 years when you started this African Film Festival in Montreal?
Well, it's because we were a bunch of people, journalists, filmmakers, and African people who were studying students, and we thought that it would be, we loved Africa, we knew it, and we thought that there was no place there was one big film festival in Montreal where they were never showing any African films, and we knew that there was some going on, and that there was a very interesting, even if small in those days, African cinema. So we decided to do this festival so the people from Montreal could look at those films, discover another culture, and especially to give the population the possibility to see images coming from Africa, because what we see all the time, and I know it's the same in the States, all over the world, what you see is always the people, the pictures, the images done by the North on the South. So for us, it was very important to show what the African people themselves were showing about themselves, what the kind of films they were doing, and it was an opening for everybody. I mean, since the first year, the audience, bien sûr, now is a lot bigger, but even the first year it was in a small theater, but it was crowded every night. I mean, there was really a big interest towards Africa and having this other view of Africa, which I think is absolutely necessary to counteract what you always see on television, which is only images, mostly images of war, like famine. How do you say that? Famine in English?
Yes.
When you get starvation, like most of the images that you see on the television are always very
negative.
So suddenly you show what the filmmakers, the African filmmakers, the films they do, and then suddenly you have another idea that there is people who are like you and me and laugh, like they go on living and they want to have good things for themselves, and they, like there is stories, and you realize that people are just like us. I think it's very important.
In the 15 years you've been doing this, what kinds of images out of Africa produced or shown by Africans have most surprised you or most elated your spirit in counteracting the stereotypical images?
Oh la la, that's a big question. It's a very complicated question. I think not maybe for me only, but for the public who come, is that they discover that, in Africa it's just like everywhere else, and people want to better themselves, people want to love, as I was saying just earlier. So, and I've seen some of the most beautiful images in those films, and simple stories who are on an international, simple stories who can reach everybody, everywhere, and a very rich, complicated culture, that has been shown, and it's always, every year, it's always fascinating to see the film and to discover other way of thinking, of other way of looking at things, and especially to see this incredible the sense of humor. That I love, the African sense of humor, because usually you don't see that, and in the films the people they are laughing, they are joking, there's it's just like seeing a movie everywhere, you just discover what the people are really like.
We are speaking with Francois Muera, who is one of the co-founders of the African Film Festival in Montreal. You're listening to Afriscope, a radio journey through global Africa. Why do you think that those films have been lying waste and not being appreciated by the Western audience all these years? Why did it take so long to start appreciating what is coming out of Africa?
Oh, I think it's like any, like we are talking, Africa is a huge continent, but the cinematography is very small. And it's like, have you ever seen a Quebecois film, yourself? In the States, how often do you see?
No, not very often.
Not very often. I think any small cinematography is very hard to see, and it's very hard to promote because, n'est-ce pas, the whole story of the American cinema who is everywhere on every screen and is educating the people in a certain way of looking at things. And so it's hard. It's an education for the people to discover another kind of cinematography. It's a bit slower, it's strange, it's not action all the time, and you have to take your time. And what I find fascinating is that, let's say the first year we had maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people coming to see the film, and last year we had 35,000 people. So that's quite a good audience for a film festival that is showing a very different culture and a very different cinematography. And we have seen us with the work that we have been doing, that when there is unhappily not enough, not very often, we are still working on it, when there is a film, an African film that is showing on the screen, during the year in a real theater, then you see the people having interest in it. They are starting to know the filmmakers and to realize that you can go to an African film and really enjoy yourself too.
Do you think that the filmmakers from Africa that given that they're still working on expanding the audience in North America and other parts of the world, are they doing better back home in exposing their productions to their own local audience?
I think it's their big struggle now, for a long time, because their money was coming from outside, because, that is very difficult to finance a film in Africa. And so, for example, in West Africa, French Africa, they were kind of lucky because they had money coming from France, who was helping them to make the film. But it's a kind of two ways, I don't know, une lame à deux tranchants. I don't know how to say that in English,
A two-edged sword, perhaps.
Voilà, something like that.
It cuts both ways.
Exactement, in some way that means because the money comes from the outside, you also make film to try to please an outside audience, and the people on your own continent is not really looking at your film. And I think it's the big battles of the 90s and for the year 2000 for the African filmmakers is they really want their own public, their own audience to look at their own films. And but the problem is that once again most of the screen are owned by other people, and it's difficult for them to have a place on their own screen. But I've been in Africa when there is an African film that is showing somewhere, the audience is there and they enjoy it and they laugh and cry and they there is a big public, and but the problem is that it's hard to find a place on the screen, and I think that's really will be the big battle.
And what kind of relationship do you have with these African filmmakers to help them in developing their audience back home?
When the film are exposed somewhere else, and people in Africa hear about their own cinematography from other countries, in fact, because the film are showing in different festivals, and they hear this and this prize, this film has won a prize in such and such a place, and bien sûr, like everywhere, you are aware of what is said outside, and you want to see it when it's coming to your own country. So I think in that sense it's helping, because the more the promotion of the film it's done, then the better it is. And also in Vues d'Afrique we have developed some programs. We have a program where we try to help the development of co-production between Canada and Africa. So there is a few films that has been done, documents or documentaries that has been done on co-production.
Collaborations.
Yes, which was not existing at all before. So that's one thing. We have another program where we work with the Pan-African Filmmaker Association to do some workshop on script writing, or as helping small independent production company to get some software to help them to do the film and things like that. So we have also developed over the years this side of Vues d'Afrique, where it's not only showing the film in Canada, but it's also trying to have not an impact, but at least to help the filmmakers themselves over there.
What is your reading of the profile of the new African filmmakers today? Are they much younger? What kind of backgrounds do you think they have?
I think
and what subjects they are tackling today?
Oh my God, that's a huge question. I mean, there is as many teams as there is filmmakers. I think there is young filmmakers. The cinematography is very thriving over there. There is a lot of people who want to do films, and the problem is once again the money. So it's not easy, and you have a whole new generation of filmmakers who are trying to do their own films, and I think they are tackling all kind of subjects. And maybe one of the most interesting aspects that I am finding in the cinematography is that there is a lot more documentaries that are being done by African filmmakers. At the beginning of Vues d'Afrique 15 years ago, there was almost no documentaries made by African filmmakers. They were doing fiction films. And this year, for example, we have 4 feature documentaries in the film festival made by African filmmakers. So, and there is about 16 short documentaries, 50 minutes documentary. So that I think it's very interesting, and it's filmmakers of all kind of age who are starting to look at their own society, and analyzing or discussing or talking about what's going on over there. So I think it's a very interesting aspect.
Françoise Nguera is my guest on Afriscope, a radio journey through global Africa. We're talking about the African Film Festival in Montreal, Canada. When Vues d'Afrique, the organization that organizes the African Film Festival, when you are not actually having the festival, what do you do in between that continues to promote audience?
We have activities all year long. In fact, we have an activity with the school. We have a big program with schools where we show short films to the students, from grade kids and students in the secondary school. So all year round we go in school and show films and discuss with the students, and there is activities around the film too. So we are trying to build the audience too, because we want the kids to know that there is other kind of images. That's what they look on television or the American cinema, that there is other way of filming, of talking, other culture. So that's a big program that we have. And as I was saying, we have also this program on which I'm working with the Pan-African Filmmaker Association, with the workshops and all that. And so that's another important part. We work also with the musicians in Montreal from African origin, to try to promote their work and all that. So in every occasion we try to have activities. We have a series of exhibitions that we show in different places. Some can be on African music, some can be on Léopold Senghor, for example, or now we just got one beautiful photographs by Thomas Dorn, who is an incredible photographer who has been going all over Africa to film musicians, all kind of musicians, like big musicians like Salif Keita or Fela or people like that, but also a kid who is playing on the street, or all the traditional and his pictures, his photographs are absolutely extraordinary. So we organize exhibitions like that too. So to try to have all kind of cultural aspects of Africa around the film.
Apparently the word is getting around on your program, because we found out about you through our correspondent, Afriscope correspondent in Chartres, France, who heard somebody on their radio talking about the program, and then he read something about Vues d'Afrique in a magazine in France.
Yes, well, thank you. So that we even have an American language school who is teaching French, and the students come for a French immersion in Montreal during Vues d'Afrique. So the students who are learning French, and they come in Vues d'Afrique for 3, 4, 5 days, and they go to see the films, and they discuss with the filmmakers, so all that in French. And so it's a wonderful program.
It's a good way to get the culture.
Absolutely. So it's kind of nice. They come to Montreal, and this appears in African culture in Montreal. So I think it's great.
And you do have a website too, I think.
Yes, we do have a good website. And I'm talking French all the time, but that we have also a very interesting section of African in English too. And we are not only catering to French-speaking people, and we have a section called Crossroad Africa, where we have several films in English and coming from the diaspora too. And so it's very, it's very eclectic. We really cover the whole continent.
Give us the address for our Afriscope listeners here.
The website?
Yes.
Well, it's http www.vuesdafrique in one word.
Spell it for us, please.
VUES, D like Daniel, EF like Françoise, RIQUE, Vues d'Afrique, vuesdafrique.org, O-R-G.
And for a contact phone number in case people are coming that way?
Well, it's 514-284-3322.
514-284.
3322.
And people can plan ahead for next year if they can make it this year, definitely.
Absolutely, and it will, yes, but this year it will be fun too. And it's really, I think it's a very interesting festival, and it's a big celebration. C'est la fête, and it's the sun, and it's the spring, and you know how important it is, the spring in Montreal, when you can, enjoy the sun and look at African film, so it's really great.
In fact, so important that your audience has told you that whenever the film festival comes around, they automatically assume that spring is there with them.
Absolutely, yes. And it's true, it comes with it.
Merci.
Well, it's me who is thanking you.
Françoise Mwera is one of the founders of the African Film Festival, which takes place every spring in Montreal, Canada. You've been listening to her on Afriscope, a radio journey through global Africa. Merci again.
Well, thank you very much.
And bonne chance on that.
Merci.
You've been listening to Nollywood Radio France, supported by Nollywood Croissants Magazine and our partner Obaodi Omundiwe. Keep checking on this website for new episodes of Nollywood Radio France. Like us on Facebook. You can also log in to our website www.nollywoodfrance.com.